Let's get into it. We got Joe Rogan, Jeff Dye, the Soul Not For Sale podcast. Real quick, 100,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. You have no idea how much it means to us. You've been liking, you've been subscribing, you've been sharing, and it means the world to us. You have no idea. Now, we got Joe Rogan, Jeff Dye, and they're talking about Trump. And Joe Rogan says something so out of line. He brings up Trump and Obama and he just says something so ridiculous, and we'll talk about that after. Jeff Dye is like completely Team Trump, though. But after that clip, we got a bunch of stuff. We got Tucker Carlson, and he's talking about the one thing they won't allow, Trump, and he discusses why. Then we have some black voices, because I want to springboard this conversation into the black vote, because it's been dwindling when it comes to Biden. It's been dwindling heavy, and black people are making themselves known. So I just want to play some black voices, two black people just giving some honest opinions on what they think about Biden. And then we have another clip of a barbershop clip where also some black people are discussing what they think about Biden and Trump. And then we have some pretty funny videos. This guy's named Shane Rich, and he does some incredible interviews. He's asking people Trump or Biden, and the answers are going to shock you. And then at the end of that, he just straight up owns some liberal guy. Stay tuned. Watch till the end. It's going to be great. Let's get into it. Don't forget about IamCoachColin.com. We got Soul Not For Sale, as you see. We got George Orwell Was Right, and we have Public Enemy #1. Discount code is IamCoachColin. All capital letters, all one word. One L in the name, Colin. Let's get to this clip.
It's probably how it always has to happen.
Neither one of them died, and that one's better.
Because I don't think with competition, I don't think you ever get the kind of innovation that you have today, or that you probably had in the past. I don't think you build the pyramids without competition.
Well, facts, yeah.
Yeah, sure. There's something about that aspect of the human spirit that we want to compete, we want to win. Like that fuels us in a way that like people are embarrassed by, I think, sometimes. That's one of the things they hate about Trump. We're winning. We're always going to win.
Yeah.
We're winners.
Yeah,
they're losers.
I like that about
They're all
him.
losers.
Yeah. If you read his book, I don't read any books. I listen to books.
Yeah,
right?
I listen to books
about 10,000 books a year. That's what I'm doing. Joe, I'm reading 10 books a day.
I heard there's another guy who does that too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Kindred spirit to me.
Yeah.
No, so I listen to about I listen to one book probably every week and a half, because Audible, you can crank them out. I'll be playing video games or driving or on an airplane or something. So I just listen to a lot of books. And I'm trying to think why I brought that up. What were we saying before the book?
Trump winning.
Oh, yeah, Trump's book. Thank you, Jim. The
Art of the Deal.
He's always talked like that. Yes. Even before he was a president. So if you know that that's just kind of how he is, you'd have totally understood that that's how real estate guys talk. My building's the best, and it's the biggest. And they go, it's not the biggest. They go, it's the best hotel. That's how he is. So once you know that it isn't like he's lying or anything. It's just that's how the man is.
He comes from a different era. Yeah. And by the way, he was celebrated forever.
For being that.
And then they turned him into a monster for the presidential campaign. Yeah. Before that, he turned himself into a monster initially because he was claiming that Obama was from Kenya.
Yeah. That was a tough hill to die on too. Yeah. Like it would.
Here's my take. Who gives a fuck what patch of dirt you're born on? Are we trying to pretend that he was like some embedded?
It was a strange one. That one.
Yeah. Was he like an embedded enemy operative?
Because I'm not an Obama guy by any means, but I remember being like, I don't care where it is.
It's a weird thing to care about. Yeah. Like, why do you care? Like, especially Obama. I mean, Trump was a lifelong Democrat. Like most of his life, he was a Democrat, which is what a weird thing to care that this one guy who's, listen, put policy aside, I've said this 1,000 times, I'll say it again, that's the best president we've ever had.
Well,
because he's the best representation of what we would hope we would want the world to see of America.
Yeah.
Very highly educated, well-spoken, even-keeled, emotionally balanced, brilliant man.
Not too black.
Who was, but also pulled himself up from hard times, single mother, very likable, very charismatic. So all those things. And you care what patch of dirt he was born on. What should you should really care? Like, what are the policies?
Yeah.
What's good? What's bad? What's good for business? What's bad for business? What's good for the world order, the economy? What's good for international relations? That's what you should be caring. Why do you care about what he's born?
And that's the adverse problem with Trump. Is that nobody's looking at the policies. They're just going to unlikable. Talks from the hip. And so like it's the reverse problem. We have a guy who I like Trump for being America first, and I like that he's honest and unapologetic about the way he talks about other people. Like if you don't like a guy, you don't like a guy, and he'll tell you.
Yeah.
But he's so unlikable.
Well,
that's what works against
the media. Also, you got to realize that for all these years, they were pushing this bullshit about this Russia collusion. They were talking about the Steele dossier, this fake thing that the Clinton campaign funded. They were doing all these things to demonize him. At the same time, they were lying about the Hunter Biden laptop. Yeah. It's just, you got spoon-fed some bullshit, unfortunately. And on top of that, he's an easy guy to hate.
Yep.
So it's both of those things.
He doesn't try to be. He never played the game, and so then
Yeah, I mean, he's got, he's definitely got some stretches of the truth.
You know, if I was Joe Rogan, you know who I'd try to hang out with all the time is?
Who?
George W. Bush.
Oh,
I think he'd be a cool guy to hang out
with. He might be depressed. He might be just painting, thinking about all those people that died.
Yes, exactly. I like to think that he's doing it.
Just
playing catch.
Thinking about 1 million dead Iraqis.
I guess that's But I mean, as
that's
a guy,
one of those ones, dude. That's that one. Like, if I was president while the Iraq, I was responsible for that, and I was still alive,
heavy,
I'd be like, check, please. I don't want this fucking vibe on me. There's no way you're having good days.
Yeah.
If you're a conscionable person, you think, look, we know that weapons of mass destruction shit was bullshit.
Right.
We know it now.
Yeah.
It's universally accepted.
Well,
that's why that war was started.
For sure. And Obama, I mean, he's got a lot of deaths on his.
A lot of drones.
Yeah, a lot of drones. A different type of.
Ramped up that
fucking. He went for the number. He went for the record.
Robot.
Went for the record.
The sky robots with missiles are the scariest, dude.
I know. Every Sam Tripoli tweet that I see is of some robot chasing a soldier and then touching the soldier and blowing.
You imagine in Yemen,
like a video game.
You imagine being in Yemen and you're on your way to a wedding and there's a whole line of you driving towards this wedding and you're like, what are the odds we get nuked from the sky?
Pretty good.
That's got to be scary. To be in a line of cars headed somewhere in Yemen.
I just meant George W. seems cool, with
and
the baseball
cousin,
and the cigars and the beers.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about that
your
part of it.
Your cousin's a terrorist and he happens to be in the third car back.
Can't do that.
He's just here for the wedding.
Yeah. Oh, he's our friend.
Don't let the cousin come. He's got metadata.
You should stay home, Andre.
Because that's what they did with some of those drone attacks. They attack metadata.
I know.
So if you are texting,
I don't know what metadata is.
This is what it is. So if you are texting from a cell phone, if you're calling from a cell phone, they can locate that cell phone. They can triangulate the area where that cell phone is. There's been times where they just send a missile
to that cell phone. Oh my God. He's in a cafe.
You could be, that cell phone, your baby could be sitting in the crib playing a game on your phone.
Yeah,
like legitimately.
Yeah.
And the number of people that are just innocent civilians versus the number of targets that get killed by drones is off the charts.
You don't even know what your dad does for a living. You don't even know how he's making money.
You're a baby.
Yeah,
and you're like watching a YouTube video.
Oh my gosh.
You get hit with a missile.
Yeah, see that? This is why America's great, is that I don't, we have the luxury of, at least I do.
Yeah.
I have the luxury of not thinking about that all day.
Yeah, the people that think about it, the drone operators.
Yeah.
They go through a very bizarre state of PTSD, apparently. See if you can find anything on that, because I was reading something about that. Like, that's a weird PTSD that the drone operators
to be separated from it.
Well, dude,
it's like playing Call of Duty all day, but you're really killing people.
Yeah, people are really dying.
I had a guy.
You're watching it on a screen.
I don't think he would want me to say his name. I won't say it. So, but he was like, I'm Joe. I met this guy I'm pretty good at making friends pretty quick. I'm just chatting him up at the bar in San Diego. Military guy, he's all jacked. He just seems like a cool guy. He's like, oh, I know your comedy, man. You're friends with Josh and blah, blah, blah. So I just chop it up with him. I'm probably talking to this guy for minimum 5 minutes. And I go, what do you do, man? He's like, oh, I'm in the military. And I was like, San Diego. So I go, oh, nice. Well, thanks for your service. I do the whole thing. And he goes, you want to see? I was like, yeah. I didn't think anything of it. He pulls up on his phone a drone attack that he did, and it looks like a video game. That's the only context I have is of what a video game would look like. And there's a guy here, and he gets the one guy. The two guys run away, and then a dog was like right next to the guy. The dog's fine too, and he was gone. See that? Got that guy, and even the dog lived. And those two guys next to him, I got him. But I've never seen anything like this in my life. And I look at this guy and I go, wait, that guy's dead now. He goes, yeah, that was I did that, like literally like last week. And he's showing it to me on his phone. He's got like a saved file to a stranger that he met 5 minutes ago.
I don't think that's legal.
Really?
I bet that footage is like highly classified.
Really?
Yeah, I bet you can get really fucked.
Well, it's good I didn't say his name.
The conclusion of a study on it done in 2021, and right here it says because if they admit psychological issues, they could lose their job. So there's not a lot of known.
It's like the concussion thing in the NFL.
Yeah, like they're saying in this whole study, like they know there is something here, but because it's really hard to study and it's all secret.
I mean, I think it has to be a thing.
Yeah.
There's no.
Wow. I let that clip run a little long. I did not catch that story first go round. That is crazy. The guy actually showed him. Whew. Well, you know what? I have a friend that's he messes around. I won't say what he does, but he has access to like satellite stuff, and he'll show me like weird stuff all the time. All the time. It's crazy. Yeah, I won't even get into it. But he shows me stuff. And I can't believe that guy did that. But that's a friend of mine that I've had for a long time. This guy's talking about somebody he met at a bar This guy's just showing it off, which, you know, he must be allowed to do it. Or maybe he doesn't care. I don't know. Maybe he's like, what are you going to do? I'm the best. You see, I got that guy and 3 other people lived. I'm the best. I was Obama's top guy. Obama, a.k.a. Mr. Drone Strike. Now, with what Joe was saying, I've heard him say this before, saying Obama's the best president. First off, here's the thing. Not true. That's first off. Second off, he says, put policy aside. No. Hey, no. We don't put policies. Put policy aside, okay? No. And then he also says, as he's talking about Obama, talking about caring about what the policies are. That's what we should be focused on. What? Which is it? Obama wore a nice suit. I remember one time I saw him in like a cream colored suit and I was like, wow, that's a nice suit. He talks. He was funny. This, that. He's kind of funny. No comparison to Trump. Trump right now could stop what he's doing and become top 5 comedians in the world right now if he wanted to, and go on tour and have Alex Jones open for him. Done. It's over. $1 billion tour. You've never seen anything like it before. All over the world, in fact. It'd be wild. But yeah, Obama's good in that sense. He could talk, this, that. But that doesn't make him the best president. That doesn't make him the best representation. The one that's the best. Here's the thing. And again, I've brought this up so many times on the podcast. When you hear other world leaders, I think it was like the leader of Hungary, the leader of Poland, certain leaders in Europe, where they're like, Trump's foreign policy was the best foreign policy they had ever seen, bar none. When you hear that, that's when you're starting to talk about somebody who was the best president. When you start hearing that from other world leaders that don't have to be saying that it helps them none to be saying that. Trump's not even in office right now. He's running, but he's not even in office right now. And they're saying that. And they're not even saying it to Americans. They're saying it just on international news. That's when you start to think about who's the best. When else have you heard things like that about a president? Yeah, I'll wait. I'm kidding. I won't wait. I got to go on with the episode. But we got Tucker Carlson on next. And yeah, I don't know why Joe says that. I don't know why he says that all the time. It baffles me every single time when he says Obama was the best president. It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. Listen, when it comes to, we're springboarding into a conversation about the black vote. But when it comes to the black vote, Obama got the black vote because he was black. That was it. He got Jay-Z and Beyonce. He even had me under the spell. He had everybody under the spell. He had Jay-Z and Beyonce. They're like, vote. And they're dancing and singing and stuff like that with all their satanic symbolism. He got it because he was black. But Trump is now getting the black vote because people are starting to feel, again, they're starting to feel my life was impacted positively. Now it's being impacted negatively. That's a whole different vibe. Trump is far from black, very far from black. And black people are starting to say, you know what? I like this guy better than what's on the table. So that should tell you something. Obama's not the best president. Not even the best guy. Not even the best president after being a president. I thought George Bush Jr. was cooler. Much cooler. He was flipping people off. You ever see that? All right, let's just get into it. But yeah, he was flipping people off. I don't know if you ever saw that. Tucker Carlson, he's now talking about Trump a little bit. This is just like a little prediction of where he thinks things are going in 2024. He's going to be talking about Trump and the reason why the establishment dislikes him so much. Let's get into it.
In all politics everywhere is really awe-inspiring. You know, these people are really dirty everywhere, not just my country. You may know about that. But the one thing that the people in power, and I don't just mean in Washington in our government, I mean in our financial centers and entertainment centers, our country's kind of cool because they're identified by cities. So Los Angeles, New York, Washington make all the decisions, of course. And the one thing they won't tolerate is the orange man in power. And you you wonder, well, why? Because Trump is not a radical at all. And Trump's vision for America, this is an informed assessment of Trump. Trump's vision for America is like Studio 54 in 1978. I'm serious. Trump really loved the country. He grew up and he really loved it, and he means it. He loved the people who live there. He loved its traditions, its weird little customs, its idiosyncrasies, and that's kind of what he wants. He doesn't want a brave new future of new things. He wants to return not to antebellum America, but to like 1980 America. And it's kind of hard to argue why that's bad, actually. And so that's not a revolutionary agenda, nor is it a counter-revolutionary agenda. It's a return to normalcy. And the phrase "Make America Great Again" means return it to a period not so long ago, when everyone was enfranchised and everyone had rights, but everyone was roughly, not everyone, but most people were sort of united in a sense of common purpose and culture. They were Americans, and they knew what that meant. We don't have that anymore, and that's Trump's vision. So you may not think that's possible. You may not think maybe that's even virtuous to want that. But if you think that's a grotesque hellscape that he's describing, you're the freak, not him. And yet they all feel that way. They mean it too. They really feel that way. It's not a joke. And so what's gonna happen? And I guess I dissent a little bit from the much more optimistic view that you have, both of you, which I really appreciate hearing and I want to believe it, but that in the end, the will of the people matters. The conclusion that I've come to is that it matters less than it should. And that the people in power really do make the bulk of the decisions. And I say that after spending 35 years in Washington and watching the agenda of both parties and comparing that agenda to the public opinion polling of what people actually want and finding no union set. No union set. Like there's not the same agendas. And we have a democratic system where these people are elected every 2 years in the Congress, every 6 years in the Senate, every 4 years in the White House. And their agenda never changes, and the desires of the American public, by and large, are never met or even addressed. And you sort of, after a while, conclude, maybe it doesn't matter what people want, it only matters what the people in power want. I don't want to think that, but I don't know what other conclusion to reach. So what you have now is a legit mass movement on behalf of Donald Trump that's 100% real, and you have absolute, ironclad resistance to the democratic process working its way to a legitimate conclusion by the people who have all the power. What happens next? I don't even know. And I'll sum it up this way. Today, it is a race in the foreseeable future between Donald Trump, the former president, now effectively the Republican nominee, and the incumbent president. He got more votes than Barack Obama somehow, because he's just so popular. This is the magnetism. He spent the entire 2020 campaign moldering and deteriorating in his basement, and somehow he was more popular than Barack Obama. Right, okay. Anyway, so it's the race between Biden and Obama. I just don't see that happening. I just don't. And that, I hope to be wrong. I want to return to normalcy too. I'm the opposite of a revolutionary too. That's what I love about Trump. He doesn't want radical change. We're not actually made for radical change. We can't digest it. People hate radical change. They want kind of continuity, and I do too. But I just don't see this playing out the way it's currently formulated. Sorry.
Tucker Carlson, ladies and gentlemen. And you know what? He brings up a great point of make America great again. And he wants to bring it back to a place that's in the 80s. And I like that he said that, because so many times the dumb question people always bring up is, oh, when was America great? Well, first off, there was many times. I mean, when 1776, it was great. It was. Oh, they're slow, but there were slaves, blah, blah, blah. I get it. I understand. But you're asking when it was great. There's many times throughout it being established that it was great. But when he brings up the 80s, see, like what liberals always do is they'll bring it back to the slave times. They'll be like, oh, you mean slavery? Slavery was a great thing, right? It's like, no. No one's talking about that. You're talking about the time when people you were allowed to tell jokes on stage. You could make fun of a certain people. They could make fun of you. Comedians didn't get chased off of stages. You could say words. People wanted to figure out what you meant. Guys would fight. They would actually fight with their fists, and they'd get up after and be like, and that'd be it. People were talking about that time. And I really like that he brought that up, because I really do think that is what Trump means. Because why would he be thinking of slave times? He wasn't around during slavery. Like, what? It's such a silly thing that they bring up over and over again. But now we're going to get into a quick clip from Benny Johnson. Benny Johnson found something that was on MSNBC. I'm so tired of these publications bringing people to barbershops. I'm so tired of seeing people in barbershops. Like, that's the only place where black people convene. It's so silly. But of course, they do it. And this guy's just giving an honest opinion about what he thinks about the presidency and who he's going to vote for. So let's get into that. Let me move my screen a little bit for you guys here. Let's get into it.
There are some people in your orbit who are either voting for Donald Trump or considering it?
For sure. A lot of my friends are obviously my age, so we're a little younger. We've only voted once, for a president. And Trump is kind of all we know. And they're kind of Trump and Biden. They're like, well, we were broke with Biden. We weren't with Trump. And that's kind of the only thing that I'm hearing over and over again is that, well, Trump, we had money. Well, okay.
Well, that's true, right? And this is the thing. That is rippling through the community more than any mainstream media publication wants to admit. It's really rippling through quite a bit. You know, Republicans see an opportunity with black voters, prompting mobilization in Biden's Biden campaign. People don't like what they've been seeing, what they've been feeling. Especially, you have to think of this. Think about people in Chicago, right? Because they have a lot of urban areas. There's a lot of black voters there. What they're seeing with immigration, they're just like, why is this happening to us? This wasn't happening to us just years ago. They weren't doing this. It's not like the border. What changed? The only thing they can think of that changed is the person in charge. Again, I've done so many episodes on it. They've cleared out, I believe in Chicago, they cleared out a school and filled it with immigrants. And now the kids are taking classes online. What? There's just so much of it. As black voters drift to Trump, Biden's allies say they have work to do. Oh, it means people are about to get paid. Now we're moving on to two older black people who are just giving their honest opinion of what they think. You know, Biden and Trump. So let's get into that.
I don't know. He's hitting on a lot of measures that I'm kind of like concerned about. You know?
Like what? Tell me what.
Well, on a lot of measures that I'm more than likely Trump again.
Why?
I don't know. He's hitting on a lot of measures that I'm kind of like concerned about. You know?
Like what? Tell me what.
Well, the black community, I am concerned about us. Being able to get employment, education for black people is very serious and critical here in Los Angeles. Issues would be illegal immigration. And I believe that that's really a big problem here in Los Angeles, especially for, you know, working class people who are trying to survive and live here. We've been maintaining and trying to survive here, and then we can't get jobs. Not saying that I don't want people to be able to come here to this country and be able to, you know, get a new life, but what about the people that are here?
It doesn't concern you that Trump lies about everything?
He lies, but what politician doesn't?
You know, Trump doesn't like Black Lives Matter. Trump
doesn't.
loves the cops. He thinks people shouldn't be protesting against the police. He doesn't believe there's any racism in America.
Well, I believe there is racism, and we have good cops and we have bad cops. I don't have a problem with police officers. Many inner city black people do. I don't. You know, and there's not all racism in there. Like any group of people, you have good, you have bad. So, I mean, we just have to weed out the bad officers, and that's just it. That's just the way I feel. I feel like we're being smothered here and starved out of California.
And Trump is going to change that?
Trump is not going to change it, but I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon with people who's been smothering my people out.
You're looking at two evils, if you want to put it that way. So which one do we choose? We choose what is in our best interest. We're allowing our hatred for President Trump to overwhelm our better interests. Our better interest is to let this continue as it is and let us get our gains. That's how we got our civil rights stuff. We got them incrementally. We didn't get them once. The whole world was in our side with George Floyd. The whole world. They came to us, and then what happened? We turned on each other. We started looting, burning, robbing. We became ugly, vulgar, nasty, violent. Now, nobody likes us. We don't even like each other. Nobody likes us. President Trump, President, whether you like him or not, this man was not prepared to be no president. But this man has grown into the presidency. I never told you I like Trump. You're assuming that. What I said was, I'm picking out things that are to his advantage.
Very wise, that older black gentleman. I think Calvin, they said his name was in the corner there. Very wise, very, very wise. I like that he said that the hatred for Trump is kind of clouding people's emotions towards what's in their best interest, and that's very true. And here's the thing. It's not just emotions don't come up alone. Emotions are always prompted. And a thing that we always see, and I remember being triggered in this when Candace Owens first said it. She said, look at every election cycle. Every election cycle, they bring up this whole black versus white thing. And they do it to get black people riled up. And then the Democrats show themselves as the only option for black people. You know, they say, oh, this person's doing this, they're doing that, they're doing that. You know, he lies about everything. You know, he lies about everything. You know, he doesn't like Black Lives Matter. You know, he likes cops. I like that black woman shut him down. She's like, I don't have a problem with police officers. If you're not a criminal, you have no problem with police officers. I've never been arrested in my life. I have no problem with police officers at all. Never have had any encounters of cuffs on me and going to jail and this and that. None of that ever in my life. So I have no problem with them. I think they're great. I've seen them do great things. Yeah, I've never had to call them before, but I would if I had to. So, but I like that she shut that down. But they do that every election cycle. They kind of stoke those fires and get people riled up. So those emotions that come up towards Trump or towards anybody that the Democratic Party is kind of pointing the racism fire hose at during the election cycle, people just get so emotional. And I like that he just said, hey, you know, you can't let that hatred, you know, cloud your emotions. Like, you should really look at what's going on, because a lot of people will just kind of just be like, well, Trump's racist, and have nothing towards that. And in the next clips that I'm about to show you, you're going to see a little bit more of that. This guy, Shane Richie, I'm telling you, if you don't follow this guy, Shaney Rich is his name. If you don't follow this guy, find him. He's not on, I can't find him on YouTube, but he's on X. He's on Instagram. You're going to see these videos. I'm telling you, he's definitely worth a follow. He exposes people so well. And he's gone on this crusade of kind of showing what black people, he doesn't just focus on black people. He talks to everybody, but he's done like this little video series almost where he talks to a lot of black people about Trump or Biden. And he just kind of gets their perspective. He's not poking them. He's not trying to get them riled up. He's just asking them questions. So you're going to see a little bit of that. And then we're going to move on to the same gentleman talking to two liberal, probably in university type people. And, and he calmly dismantles them very calmly. Let's start out here. Should we go? Yeah, let's start with these people. Are these the people? No, let's not start there. Let's start with the Trump or Biden people first. Then you'll get to see the people get owned. You got to watch till the end for that. But let's move on to this.
Trump or Biden?
I ain't gonna lie. Trump, my mother dog.
Donald Trump or Joe Biden?
When Joe Biden spoke on the black community, this mother had the nerve enough to say, if we don't vote for him, then we not black. Well, guess what, Joe? I ain't vote for your ass, and I'm as black as the mother concrete.
How do you feel about Trump getting indicted?
They need to free my boy. He been exposing and they don't like that. Trump 2024, my brother.
They know they can't get him for none of the real get it, gang. Free him.
I ain't used to like that, but now, bro, I realize that he meant well for the country, bro. We need that back. Free Trump. Trump 2024.
How do you feel about Trump being taken off the ballot in Colorado?
I think it's bull. I'll write him in if I have to.
I think it's unconstitutional.
I don't think it's right.
Why?
Because he hasn't been convicted of anything. You know, I mean, I'm not his fan, but I don't think anyone should tell anyone who can run or not.
I just know right is right, wrong is wrong. Everybody got a voice, and you know what I'm saying? Nobody should be silenced for their truth.
Trump 2024, you know what I'm saying? Forever. That boy, free Kodak, man.
So this guy, again, I pulled the screen down so you can actually see his at. This guy's great. Hold on, let me just stop there. But this guy's great. I'm telling you, check him out. He's just doing his thing. He's on all sorts of platforms, and he's just consistently doing stuff like this. He's getting in front of people, getting their opinions, and I love to see it, man. I love to see it. Here's him again. He's actually talking to somebody. I believe this gentleman's name is Dome Lucre, I believe, on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, then you know exactly who this gentleman is that he's talking to. But listen to this. And he means to say Trump, just so you know.
Easy choice, Biden. Inflation rate at an all-time low, unemployment at an all-time low, stock market's all-time high, First Step Job Act. He freed Kodak Black, freed ASAP Rocky, freed Lil Wayne, freed Snoop Dogg homeboy, not to mention, and got a mugshot himself. But I think I meant to say Trump. I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't mean to say Biden. I meant to be, I'm voting for Trump, not Biden.
Trump or Biden?
This guy was just so excited. He just was like, let me just go into everything. He misspoke. Now let's get into this video, okay? The first one is going to be him talking with two liberal university students and just asking them to kind of, so many times people say things and then you say, what do you mean? And they got nothing. And that's exactly what you're about to see right now. Let's get into it.
Obviously, we can't have Trump. He's one of the biggest threats to American democracy, right?
I agree.
Why?
Things that Trump does, it makes life harder for young people like us.
Like what, though?
He tries to
overthrow democracy.
Overthrow democracy.
How?
He incites people to, raid the Capitol building, whether...
No, he didn't incite it. He said peacefully and patriotically make your voice heard.
Yeah, but he actively, doesn't put forth effort in stopping that situation when it occurred.
Oh, yeah, so like Biden, who says that MAGA Republicans are the biggest threat to democracy, which is vilifying a group of 75 million Americans that voted for Trump.
Yeah.
That seems like a huge threat to democracy. Biden would say that. What about the summer of 2020, BLM and Antifa and Biden supporters? They burned down buildings. There was more deaths in the BLM riots than there ever was on January 6th. Actually, a protester was killed by a police officer, and she didn't do anything wrong. But
she was trying to break in.
No, there's actually a video of it.
Of course, it's not, nobody wants to have buildings burned and stuff looted.
Isn't it pretty anti-democratic for Biden and a lot of these like unelected Supreme Court justices to try and remove Trump off the ballot with no conviction? Like, I feel like that's a way bigger threat to democracy than a few people, storming a Capitol, especially when you look at 2020, like all the BLM riots, way more violence, way more damage. And that was all, a radical left group that did that.
A lot of the stuff that Trump says is anti-democratic, and
like what though?
I don't have it like in my head right now, but
no, I'm just wondering what
over the past few years. So
do you have maybe one or two examples? Because I can name a few from Biden.
Yeah, no, I don't have it on me.
Oh, you're out of
here. Yeah, he's done. No, I don't have it on me. He's just anti-overthrow democracy. I just don't have my MSNBC on me right now. It's usually at home, on my telescreen. It's just on all the time when I get home. They usually tell me what to think, and then I'm at a loss for words. If there's not mainstream, can you get Anderson Cooper? He can tell Van Jones perhaps can help. Can I call a friend? Can I call a friend? That's what he needed. But again, the guy's name is Shaney Rich. Definitely check him out. We're going to play this last one. This last one, he gives somebody the old switcheroo. Watch what I mean right now. Okay? So he's giving somebody, he's telling somebody a thing that's happened. And then he just gives her the switcheroo. And watch, this actually shows Tucker's exact point. When Tucker said the one thing that they can't have is Donald Trump in power. This is perfect. This is a perfect example of how much they really do mean that. How much they really do push for that here.
But Trump is actually calling for Biden to be removed from the ballot. There's been no convictions, but these unelected Supreme Court judges are trying to remove Biden from the ballot, which I think is like extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Oh, for sure. That's an extremely dangerous precedent. I mean, there's been no convictions. There's been nothing illegal done. So there's no precedent for removing him. And it's mostly just to appeal to the fan base. But either way, it's a pretty dangerous thing to do.
I feel like that's like a similar tendency to Hitler,
Yeah.
Like if there was a conviction, that'd be one thing. But like I always say, why don't you let the voters decide? Why would you want the candidate who's leading in the polls to be removed from the ballot so you would have an easier chance of winning?
Oh, for sure. And to be fair, I mean, that's the whole premise of democracy, is that the people decide who they want to represent them and the policies they want to represent them. So to just completely disregard that and go based off of, I think he should be removed, then that does lead us a little bit closer to authoritarianism and fascism.
What if I told you that was actually Biden that just did that to Trump in Colorado?
You also have to consider the nuance behind what is being investigated currently. If they have enough to have a conviction, then sure. If they don't, then they don't.
They don't have a conviction, but they just did it to Trump.
Yeah.
So how could you support Biden knowing that they're doing that to Trump?
There's the taking of all the classified documents.
Biden also stole classified documents too. And they had him in his garage in the Corvette. He had him at the college at the Penn State. So I feel like everyone has taken classified documents. It's like a rules for thee, but not for me is what it seems like against Trump, you know?
Not exactly. When you consider the amount of interference when it comes to like Russia and foreign policy and everything like that.
Oh, you mean how that? But that was debunked. But that was debunked though. They said Russia. It wasn't. Do you not remember how Adam Schiff got censured for lying about it? There was never a conviction for Russian interference.
Just because there isn't a conviction does not mean that there isn't sufficient evidence.
Do you not remember the Steele dossier though? The FBI lied. Hillary Clinton campaign paid the FBI to lie about the Russia.
Either way, there needs to be a line, and that line is something that has to be determined by the public.
Yeah, I mean that's why Trump's leading in the polls. You know, over 60%, and then they want to remove him from the ballot because they know he's going to win.
I don't know about that, but...
You don't think so?
No, I don't.
I don't know if you saw, but Trump...
It's exactly what Tucker was talking about. The mental gymnastics. Even someone in her condition doing mental gymnastics. Ha ha ha. Never mind. Dumb joke. But you see what I mean? The second that she heard that it was Trump, all of a sudden it all became okay. She said that like that's against democracy. Then she hears it actually is happening to Trump, and all of a sudden that becomes okay. They're willing to just push everything aside if it means that Trump doesn't get to be in office. If it means that it dampers his campaign, his running in some way, shape, form, or fashion. It's crazy. It's crazy. And that's why I played that one last, because it actually shows exactly what Tucker was talking about. These people are very serious. They're very serious about pushing all rules aside in order to maintain power. It's wild. But again, I just played all that stuff to show that there's a black movement of people. And these aren't even like clean cut guys who are like, I'm a Republican. These are just like regular people, because that's who's getting impacted the most. Regular people are getting impacted so much by what's going on. The border alone, let's not even talk about the increase in gas and food and all this stuff. The border alone is having so many people feel it. And here's the thing, it's like a gift and a curse because of what Greg Abbott decided to do, because of what Texas decided to do, is ship all these immigrants to all these sanctuary cities, which are Democratic run. All of a sudden now, all of these people who are in urban areas, all these black people, they're starting to see like, oh, this is what's happening with this person being in power. And they want to switch. They want it to go back to the way it was. And good. Thank God. It needs to happen already. And you know what? YouTube hates when I say it. They hate when I say it, but I'm going to say it before I leave. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Let me know what you think in the comments. Trump 2024. I'm out.